All right, good stuff. We did it.
We did.
Well, we're like, I don't know, it's gonna get loud in here. I'm worried about that.
Yeah.
But maybe we can cozy up. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
I'm at jconf .dev. jconf.dev here in Dallas, Texas.
So am I.
So we have
Co-located.
I'm joined today by Oracle developer advocate and my friend extraordinaire,
Yes.
Billy Korando. And
Hey.
it's good to see you, man. How are you?
Absolutely. Good,
Long
man.
time.
How are you doing? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little too long.
It's
These travel times, it's not the same as it used to be.
Not the
One of
same.
these days.
One of these days. But I'm glad we get to hang out here. I'm used to like giving you bear hugs and then not having a chance to like sit and talk. So it's really good to see you. And actually fresh on the, because is this strictly speaking a Java? It's JConf.
Yeah,
right?
it's Java. Yeah.
I mean, it's not
J.
Java, of course. It's J.
Yes.
But-
Trademark.
Yeah, very important. But anyway, fresh on the heels of Java 23.
Yes. Just last week.
Just incredible.
Not even 10 days old.
Yeah, like
Or maybe 10 days today. Yeah.
well, yeah. But so what you're saying is we're already so close to Java 24 that people shouldn't pay any attention.
Yeah. I mean, we're on to 24 EA.
Yeah, we're moving on. You know, the conversation is moved. But I mean, Java 23 is really good. I mean, it's, another
iteration.
Good. You know, every 6 months we get these incredible releases.
Mhm.
How do you keep up? You know, I guess that's the first thing, because is this a GA release or like
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Every release is a GA release.
But is it an LTS?
No. So
when was the last LTS?
the LTS, the last one was 21, and then starting with 21, Oracle and then the other LTS vendors, they all kind of decided to go to a 24-month LTS cycle. So the
2
next one
years.
then will be 25. Then. So
25. Yeah. Okay.
so next year. Yep.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So is that next year?
That is next year. So 25 and 25.
Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, that's actually great. Actually, I mean, good job. Well done.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody. And by that point, it will, the lead.
Yeah.
On Java 8, because I ran a poll this morning.
Yes.
I asked people on the Twitters what they thought the most impactful release of Java was
Mhm.
beyond 1.8. That 1.0 was, and I couldn't list all of them in these polls, right? And I asked 1.2. Because that had collections, it had swing, which if you didn't have swing before and you had to use aught, that was a big deal. It had what else did it have? It had anonymous. There's Java 1.1 actually had anonymous inner classes.
Yeah.
You could do like new foo parentheses curly bracket.
Yep.
Java 5 2005 that came out that had enums, generics, annotations. That was a big one, right? Java 8 lambdas, streams,
Mhm.
right? Java 21, which to my mind, if you're just poking your head out from the rock of Java 8 and you're looking at Java 21, you've got var,
Yeah.
multi-line strings, pattern matching, smart switch expressions, records.
Yeah. All the pattern matching.
Yeah, pattern matching and virtual threads.
Yes, very much
Right.
so.
So personally, between you and me and the wall and just us, hens, that's my favorite release. Java
Same.
21 is
Same.
ridiculous. I cannot believe that was one release.
Well, for me, the current release is always my favorite. Really.
Surely, of course. Well, yeah, but I live
Yes.
on the inertia. Java 21, and so now we get all these wonderful. I think that the trick is to release user-facing stuff, and then tend the garage. Make sure the engine's working and all that stuff. You can't paint the car every release.
Exactly.
You got to
Yep.
fix the engine sometimes, and so I appreciate that some are going to be less scintillating.
Yeah.
But anyway, surprise, it was Java 8. That was most people's what they thought was most impactful, and that bothers me because again, if Java 25 is out in a year, right, that'll be more than 3 times as good mathematically.
Exactly.
As Java 8,
Exactly. Yeah, more than 3 times, and so.
Yeah.
I mean that is how it goes with every new release. Yeah, that it's just that much better than the previous one.
It is. It's ridiculous, and I don't appreciate people lingering on Java 8. I think this is just a troll.
I think so. I think you got hacked. That's clearly not.
These are not
legitimate
serious
numbers.
people. Come on. Look, Java 8 was good, but it ain't great.
Yeah.
And in terms of like net effect, look, I could even if you had to if you pin me down, I might even see my way to saying Java 5. But no, actually, no. I mean, generics are pretty okay. Annotations certainly very good.
Yeah.
Enums didn't really have a use for them until Java 21 and smart switch expressions.
Yeah.
That pattern matching and all that stuff.
And
exhaustive checking.
Now I still kind of remember like my first job making that switch from 1.4 to 1.5, and I was just excited for enhanced for loops.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's another one that's great. That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. That's Java 5 as well. Isn't it? Okay. Yeah. So maybe Java 5 is number 2.
Yeah.
21, definitely my favorite. And I feel like there's a trickle. So you mentioned Java 17. Java 17 introduced was it a long-term support? Long-term.
Yeah,
okay.
That was. Yeah.
So that was a trickle. It was a convergence of a few things that, again, if you hadn't paid attention and you were just emerging from the rock of Java 8, poking your head out from underneath that rock, you would have seen for the first time var, multi-line strings.
Yep.
Some
records.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So there's some nice features there.
Yeah.
But again, I think we're kind of gearing up now. We're in another recessionary period where there's going to be a trickle of preview features.
Yeah. Well, we have it's more than a trickle. It's a lot of preview features.
Yeah.
It's more of the getting those features in finalized is going to be what's going to be exciting because understandably most
I think in a few years we'll have another Java 21 or another Java 5, because I can see all these preview features and there's some really exciting ones.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Right. Oh. So can you tell me, well, first of all, what is, I don't know, one of my favorite features in Java 23 obviously is Markdown.
Oh yes. I'm sure that we were just getting so much feedback from the community. It's Twitter poll after Twitter poll saying we need Markdown in JavaDoc. But yeah, that's really, I guess, about the only final feature that came in. Major final feature that came
user facing.
User facing, yes.
The engine got tuned.
Yes, the engine always gets tuned. But adding Markdown to JavaDoc, and of course, JavaDoc uses HTML. HTML isn't exactly the most eye-friendly to read.
No,
so,
and also I don't know what is I can't use SVG.
Yeah.
I can't use. I don't know. Do tables work? Yeah, I think those do work. But I don't know what works. It's not even full HTML. So I always found myself sitting there. Should I be opening Dreamweaver? What should I be doing with this? Whereas with Markdown, because I get obsessive. This is why I don't use Word documents.
Yeah.
Like Microsoft Word. I don't use word processing. And the reason is because if I don't know exactly what I'm going to type and I'm not ready to dump it on the page, I'll fiddle with the font and I'll just get squirrel. So Markdown is great. I just write the thing. If it needs to be emphasized or italicized, I know exactly what to do, put an asterisk or underscore, and I'm home free, right?
Yeah.
And even every links are actually nice again, and quick and.
Yeah, no, and especially also probably formatting of code would be much better because to do the proper formatting of code, you would have to have your tab blocks and all the markdown.
Oh yeah, you've got backticks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
So.
And I can still use at code and at link and all that stuff.
Yeah, you'll be able to
use it.
Yeah. I haven't done too much with the syntax on it yet, so I'll have to actually go on specifics. But there's a few areas I hear that aren't quite fully supported just because there are limitations when it comes to Markdown compared to HTML. But for the vast majority
of
feature,
cases, not a bug.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But for the vast majority of cases, Markdown should handle it. And then, of course, obviously, it'd be much easier to read when in browser. I mean, all of this is really in browser as far as what's going to be produced.
Yeah.
Will all look, the same. But
do I do the stars and stripes, or can I do //?
Yeah, for the Markdown.
Yeah, for the JavaDoc Markdown.
So yeah, it's triple backslash to start for every line.
/
or backslash or whatever.
Bottom left, top right.
Yes.
So
or no. Yes.
Yeah, bottom left to top right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's gonna be a // Yeah, so those are I do 3 of those.
Yes.
That's cool. I can actually do a JavaDoc comment without doing the stars and stripes style. It's neat. That's a really cool feature. Yeah. Okay, so tell me about. I have questions. Where are we? What are some of the interest? I have questions like Loom. There was 3 tranches there. We got virtual threads a year ago. Arguably the single most important feature Like I don't know
Absolutely.
I don't know what they could have done to make Java more relevant.
Yeah.
In one single swoop, in one fell swoop, you know, and that was it. That to me is like,
oh yeah,
magic. And then we got 2 other things coming up.
Yes.
In that we also have Valhalla, which is ongoing. We have vector stuff, vector API, SIMD support. We have
so we have a
file stuff. I mean, I just want to know where all these things are. You know?
So yeah, I think as far as immediate features coming up, some of them will probably be delivered with Amber. That's like the language features. So like as we were talking about, like var and record and all the pattern matching, that's all under Project Amber. Probably the next one coming from that is primitives in pattern matching. So like right now, if you had like an integer or something that you wanted to work with, instead of being able to use int, you would be required right now to use integer, like the full Autobots class.
Oh wait, like if X instance of int?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you need to use the integer class instead. But with pattern matching for primitive types, we'll be able to use a primitive actually.
So I can say in the future, I'll be able to say if X instance of int.
Yeah, or just no, not instance. Instance of ints. Yes. Or is it only in Switch? But definitely at least within Switch, you'll be able to use.
Okay, good.
Things like int and stuff in it. So there's that. And let's see. I think I'm trying to think what else with that. I mean, we're also working on improving learning process for. Oh, that's right. Flexible constructor bodies will also probably be GA pretty soon here, so you can have statements before super.
Okay, so that's a really neat thing because. Like right now, in order to do something, you have to call. Okay, you have a constructor. You need to call super because the class has a non-implicit super constructor. And I might want to set up some state to provide a default value to one of the parameters.
Yeah.
Right now, to do that, I have to make a static method.
Yeah. Within like a super call. Yeah.
Within the class, and then I can compute that state, and then as I call super, passing in the static method.
Yeah.
The call to the result of the static method invocation, right? And it's not impossible, but it is a little like if you're looking at that code and you're a first-time Java programmer, you're gonna be like, why is this happening? What's going on here? Why am I doing this? Why is it static?
Yeah.
You try and make it not static.
Yeah.
And then you have instant, and you know, it'll help you if you have an instant state, you know.
Yeah.
So you get all sorts of confused. So what is this? Yeah.
So exactly is to where you can have statements for super instant statements and stuff like that, to where you could provide initial values to like fields that are within that subclass. There's also you can also have any sort of statement. So like if you look within the JEP, like one of the examples they use, it's a bit of a contrived example where they have like. So like there's big integer, and they're like imagine like extending like positive big integer off of big integer to where, of course, like the only value could be positive within it.
Okay.
And within like the example, like before you could do flexible constructor bodies, like what we just talked about, you would have to have like a static method to where you can check to make sure like the passed in value is greater than 0, so it's only positive. You would do that, but now you could actually have like a proper if statement before to say like only if this is positive. So it allows you to write it like you could anywhere else within Java code, whereas you want to have to create like an arbitrary static method.
That is super good. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be
just like a nice little quality of life improvement,
right? And I noticed that there's like that actually there's a talk that I confess was a little over my head, or maybe I should have just focused a bit more on it. But there was a Java language summit, JVM language summit talk on like what the implications for lifecycle. You got pre-main, you got super. I don't know. It seems like they're trying to like sanitize lifecycle here.
Maybe. I'm not quite sure. Fortunately, I haven't watched all the JVMOS talks, so I need to. I may need to go back and check through that one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Thank you, Umbu. See, he's in team latest is greatest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, latest is greatest.
I'm surprised more people didn't respond as such to the poll. That I think reflects a failing on our parts as Java community, enjoyers.
Absolutely.
We should be advocating for it more broadly.
Everyone should be on 23.
23 or don't talk to me.
Yeah. There you go.
It's the
23. Don't talk to me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. Okay. So okay. Super. I can have statements before the super.
Yeah.
During that, I guess in the few, I couldn't access a protected field, obviously, from the parent class.
No.
Before the super call, right?
No. You can only reference and initialize fields that are within that subclass before super.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I can initialize them though.
Yeah, again, only statement or only fields within the subclass. So, if there's a class within the super class, you can initialize it before the
yeah. But I can say private int x semicolon, and then in the constructor I can do x dot x. This dot x equals 5, and then I can call super. And if I had a polymorphic method that was called get x, and it was abstract in the super class, and in the subclass it returned this dot x, would the super class be able to?
It should
see that value.
It should see that value then.
Ooh, that's trippy.
Yeah.
So the class, okay, yeah, sure, that makes fine. That makes. I'm sure it's fine.
I'm sure it's fine. Yeah.
I haven't seen a computer explode.
Yeah.
From doing this yet, so it's.
Just don't divide by 0.
No, or cross the streams.
Yeah.
So okay, good. So that's good. I mean, it really is. I mean, this is one of those things, especially since we have only one parent type.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the things I never quite understood. If you have diamond inheritance as you do in C++ and the like, then yeah, I would understand being very, very persnickety about calling super and in order and all that. But we don't.
No.
It's a known quantity. We know exactly
single inheritance. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a blessing here. Give us the flexibility. That's good. That's a nice big feature. Okay. When does that drive or drop?
I'll have to check. I don't know. I think. Yeah, I'll have to check to see if that's going to be finalized in 24 or maybe later.
Okay.
So, yeah, I haven't seen the new job for it yet. So.
Okay, no problem. And then another thing that was kind of interesting, I like this actually. This is not a knock. It's a big thing for me. They withdrew string templates.
Yes.
Right, and I get the idea. I appreciate it. I appreciate why we want that feature. Yeah. But it was ugly as sin. It was just ugly as sin, and I just there's got to be a nice way to do that trick. So the Java team is great. They're really serious about taking input, refining it until it works for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as you mentioned, the string templates that was withdrawn in 23, and that was a result of both feedback from the community that there was not.
And this is what you want, by the way.
Yeah, no, this is it's much better because
you know what happens when you get something shoved down your throat from an ivory tower.
Yeah, serialization.
You get Java serialization. You get EJBs. Neither of which are particularly great. No. And by the way, one of which depends on the other. Who knew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's better to get this feedback now than get it out there and then find out and then
this sucks.
Then have to drag it around
for another 30 years.
Yeah.
Like serialization.
Exactly.
Okay, big deal.
Yeah.
I really am quite conscientious of just how much it hurts to have an idea, to even go so far as to implement it in the language of the compiler, and then bowing to feedback to withdraw. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that wasn't. Yeah. I'm sure that wasn't a easy decision, but that's good that they ultimately went with that because I'm sure a lot of effort and time by some people were put into that. And I'm sure that wasn't an easy thing to withdraw it.
Yeah. And by the way, these are not you don't find, how hard it is to find a person who can write a compiler?
Yeah.
Or
easy.
Or build a JVM or whatever. I mean, these are not, the hiring pool for that is, so very
small.
Every bit of effort that is expended by these people that doesn't result in something being used.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's an expensive.
That's expensive. Yeah.
You got to be very, very careful. We don't do too many of those. So it happens. We're all human. We all do that. Goodness knows. Okay. Big deal. That's a good deal. What else? We got, so let's talk about Valhalla. What can we say on that? Where is that these days? And what is it, first of all?
So Valhalla is about changing the, it's about healing the rift between reference types and primitive types.
Yeah.
So like primitive types, like they don't have identity or reference, and so that makes them so they can be much more dense. And there's like going to be a lot of cases where like local dates, like a local date doesn't really need to have reference or identity, just because like September 25th, that's it doesn't matter for once you include like time zone and all that stuff. Like you don't need multiple instances of that.
Right.
So like you don't necessarily need identity, and if you can remove all of that, you can make it much more dense.
Right. So the JVM could internally memorize it. Like string pooling.
Yeah, or just like it just be like an int, like just 100. Like you don't need multiple instances of 100 within your system. You just obviously need one, because that's just a constant. Yeah, it's a constant. So yeah, there's that aspect of it. Now I'm blanking some others, but yeah. So it's about changing the memory model. As far as the timeline, I'm still not sure. Just because that's obviously going to have such a substantial impact.
But imagine the performance opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be huge.
Or not huge. That's the point, right? Like
yeah, exactly.
It's going to be small.
No, and I mean, it's also
so small.
A really important story, because it's probably like one of our 3 leg stools when it comes to improving our AI story. So like, obviously, like there's an AI story where using APIs like Link4j or Spring AI to communicate with like existing models, but like right now Java isn't really used for writing AI models just because of memory overhead reasons. And
you mean like if I want to work with integer objects, if I want to work with lots of ints, it's critical to make sure that they at no point ever get turned into integers.
Yeah,
and that's hard to do at the moment. Is that what you're saying?
It is hard to do. Or if there's other memory objects where they could exist where you don't need identity for them, like you can't really do that right now. So just the amount of memory required compared to other languages is much higher for Java. So Valhalla is going to improve that. Then there's also going to be Babylon, which allows the usage of the GPU. And then there's also Panama, which is interacting with native libraries. So the Panama story is more mature, except for the vector API, which is waiting for Valhalla. But kind of once those 3 stories kind of get more mature, you could actually see Java perhaps being used to actually implement and write AI models. But I believe
also graphics. I mean, just imagine. I mean, you want anything where you're dealing with lots of polygons, lots of matrices of numbers. It would be cool to see Java doing that, because it's already in terms of like, I want to iterate over a loop or something. In terms of like control flow and speed of execution, it's already up there with C and C++ and the like, So it's just now a matter of like, how quickly can I handle numbers? And if I have to involve the garbage collector in dealing with numbers, well, that's not good.
That's not good.
I want that to just be numbers,
Yeah,
great. That's really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well done. Okay. So that's cool. That's on, and I know people. I saw again. There's a Java JVM language summit video where they talked about that. And it was, I think Brian Getz, Java language architect.
Yeah.
Brian Getz. He explained basically that this is something that's been on their minds and in
for 10
drafts
years.
For like 10 years. Yeah, exactly. Like, whoa, 10 years. That's a journey.
I believe that's maybe the title of his talk, or there's at some point in the slide in his talk in JV on my list. It's like 10 years. Like, why is it taking?
But again, this is their sort of again, they're very conscientious of just how hard it is to do something big, also retaining backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
Okay, and then finally, where do we end up next? We have
so I think
Loom.
Yeah, so I think Loom is going to be like the next biggest feature. Our structured concurrency and scope value is going to be the next really big features that are going to have substantial change on how developers approach with Java.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny. So I recently started a new talk called Illuminated Java, which is obviously based upon Project Loom. But like as I got a bit more into it, I kind of realized that actually when these features become finalized, that your code will become like, it's going to be introducing a new coding models. Like your code could actually really become illuminated. Like it's going to be a noticeable change. So the the primary feature, at least how most Java developers would be interacting with it, would be structured concurrency. And so like writing concurrent code right now in Java isn't particularly easy or pleasant.
No, there's only one person that knows how to write effective, safe, multi-threaded Java code.
Yeah.
And I don't know who it is. It's not you.
Yeah, it's not
me,
definitely not me. Yeah.
But there's got to be somebody. That's my favorite, right?
Yeah.
It's the ultimate foot gun, right?
Yeah. So like there's like about three major issues right now when running concurrent code. So like the first issue is that first, like I guess from a readability perspective, it usually takes a real hit when it comes to readability of knowing where like to start and end the code is. Then there's the issue of error handling. So like what happens when errors occur? How do you handle it? Getting the error out from like the underlying concurrent code that's being executed. Debugging is also not great. So there's not a great relationship between the parent thread that kicked off the subtask. So like if that parent thread passed in a null value or something like that, or Johnny drop tables, tracking that back to
Little Johnny drop tables
is difficult. And then also the final one is also like cancel propagation. So I guess I went 4 instead of 3, but yeah. So like let's say you have like 4 or 5 concurrent tasks, and one of them fails, and you need all those tasks to succeed. Well, you have to wait for all those tasks to still complete before But then you're just going to just discard all the results because one of them failed instead of just the first one failed, then cancel everything else. So structured concurrency seeks to address all those issues. You would have like a structured task scope where you set up with like a try with the resources,
right?
And then within that chunk, you would then fork the separate subtasks that you want to have execute, and then you could have different policies of all successful or throw, any successful, and just wait all, and so on. You can even implement your own custom policies. So you have that to where, if one of them fails, then cancel everything, or if the first one succeeds, then take that result and cancel everything else. Then also there is a relationship between the parent thread and then the subtask that kicks off. So again, if you need to do that debugging purpose, you can do that. Error handling is also handled to where if any of those tasks fail, you'll drop down into that exception.
See, what I like about this is I work with lots of systems. I work with lots of data.
Yeah.
And if you're doing reactive programming, you have a nice toolkit for doing scatter, gather, surface orchestration, composition. But that's like the minority.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you're kind of left in this like good luck deal, And this sounds like that would alleviate a lot of that. Pain is an understatement. What's the right word?
No, pain. Yeah.
Exquisite agony. I don't know.
Yes, very, very much so. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I think the net of it is that Java developers would often avoid writing current code if they could, just because of all the issues. Like you would have the juice would really have to be worth the squeeze. Right. And now the thing with structured concurrency is like it's making it much easier. It's just like if there's any opportunity to write concurrent code, you probably be able to take it with structured concurrency whenever it gets
and it's just there in the JDK.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be right there.
You've got the primitives. Okay, I like that. And I think it's one of those things where a lot of people don't do it right now because it's so painful.
Yeah.
But if you build it, they will come, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you build it and more people will be so inclined.
Yeah. So I think one thing I would like to say is that there is a major change to API coming in 24, but we're definitely looking for feedback. So if there is areas within your code where you could be using, or either already writing concurrent code or you could be writing concurrent code, definitely give it a shot. Maybe if you can find it, working with it in like a test environment, or if you can do canary deploy and do it out in production somehow, then that feedback would be very much appreciated.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
So is that GA in 24 or is that just a preview?
It'll still be preview in 24, but like I said, we're looking for that. We need that feedback just to make sure that we're getting it, all the primitives, all the concepts right, that API right. Yeah.
I'll take a look. I dig that kind of stuff. Okay. And then scope values. What is that?
So scope values is a way of being able to have like an immutable scope value that you can kind of reference in a way not unlike thread local, but within a specific scope within your application. So
is Does scope mean more than or less than the granularity of the thread or method body, or what is that?
It would mean within like the actual lines of code within that. So like right now, as far as when you're running with subtasks, it can only work within the context of structured concurrency. And the reason why that is because there are runtime constraints on structured concurrency to where it has to exist only within that block where it's actually executing, because at the end of like a structured concurrency block, there's like a join, and you have to call that join before it can go the parent thread can continue executing farther. With like other cases, like if you were to do like a try with resources with like a executor, and you kicked off some subthreads, you can put those threads to where they have like some sort of sleep for like 5 seconds or whatever it might be, and of course like the parent thread will have executed farther down, and so you could be outside of that scope value block, and so that would obviously create some nastiness then if you try to reference that. So but yeah, the benefit of scope values is that with like thread locals, if you wanted to copy it, like you would have to actually like copy that value down to the subthreads and have to manage all that memory, and then just
but now that there's an implicit like hierarchy, it'll just automatically work and propagate,
and it's also immutable. So like there's a lot of runtime benefits and memory benefits.
Oh, right, because it's not mutable state, so you get the benefits of consistent access across. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, so but we're still working on that. In fact, I had some conversations with some Spring engineers, and we're working on some examples to make sure it can actually work within the framework community, because that's probably where it's going to be primarily used, because
it's infrastructure.
Infrastructure. It's passing around context and stuff like that. So we're still working on making sure that meets the needs, again, particularly the framework community.
All right, of which there's just Spring, of course.
There's only Spring, yes. Sure, so I hear.
Okay. All right. Anything else I should know about?
No. Let's see. Yeah, just
where do people go to learn more?
Go to learn more. So we have dev.java and insight.java.
What's
so dev.java is great for tutorials, also finding community information like conferences like we're at JComp and your local Jug. Insight.java, that is where we would aggregate all this stuff from like our JDK engineers whenever they make a blog post. So like when like Brian Getz may have an announcement of Valhalla, or Alan Bateman, who's kind of leading the Loom team, has an announcement on Loom, we'll aggregate it there. So
nice. And what about you? Are you online? And do you want to be found? And if so, where can people find you?
I'm not really on Twitter as much anymore. So Smart. Yeah.
Where can they find you otherwise?
I mean, really right now, I guess if you want to contact me directly, I guess Billy Korando at Oracle, Billy.Korando at Oracle. And I guess my LinkedIn. Billy Korando. So I think there's only one of me.
Yeah, so certainly they broke the mold.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thanks,
cool,
my
man.
friend.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
This has been a really good stream.
Yeah.